we talk with our pocketbook. If I don't like you, I will not do business with you. The world is changing. Social media has become very toxic, and it can destroy a family business that somebody worked hard to build without the other side.
So have you never left a bad review for like on Google or anything like that? Never? Dentists hate bad reviews, but I believe that the best reviews that dentists can get are bad reviews, and I'll explain why. Should businesses sign non-disparaging service agreements? Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Theory. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can grow the way that you want. And today, I have the one, the only Dr. Bob D. He's an active dentist in Aurora and the president at Dentistry in General, LLC. He also has a great Facebook group. I don't know if it's actually great or not because I'm not allowed to be in it because I'm not a dentist, but I've heard great things about it. And he has come on today to debate the topic, are non-disparaging agreements good for the customer? Are they good for the dental industry? This is a really interesting episode. We've never done anything like this before, but I think you're going to like it. And I think that you're going to learn something from it. So stay tuned. All right. We are live and it's an honor. I'll be honest with you. I've been trying to get Bob D onto a podcast for a long time. And so I'm so thankful. He's busy. He does a lot of things. And so I'm so thankful that I get the opportunity to have him on today. And we're going to do a different kind of show. Today is going to be a little bit different than what people are used to. Coming from my side, Bob, this is probably, Dr. Bob, this is probably a little bit closer to your style of podcast of the things that I've watched you have. But what we're going to be talking about today is, should businesses sign non-disparaging service agreements? And we're doing a reverse of roles. So normally the marketing company would say, yes, sign those, they're good. And the dentist would say, no, they're bad. But today we're going to do opposites. So I'm going to be arguing why these are horrible and why no one should sign them. And Dr. Bob's going to be telling us why they're good and they're a good thing that people shouldn't be worried about and they should sign. So before we jump into that, Dr. Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And you have a big event coming up. Why don't you share that? You've probably noticed this before, but this podcast is unsponsored. What that means is we don't get paid to do it, but we want to bring you the best information possible. So how do we make sure that this content stays on the air? We need you to like and subscribe. Wherever you're at, whatever you're listening on, just give us a thumbs up or subscribe. And that helps us out so much. I know that you probably haven't done it, so I'm just going to sit here and wait until you do. 95% of our listeners have not subscribed to our podcast. So go ahead and do it now. Don't make this awkward. All right, good. Back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Gary. Please call me Bob. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm Bob D. I have a Facebook group called Dentistry in General. It's for dentists and dental students only. I'm a full-time dentist here in the Chicago metropolitan area. And I know Gary said we're a reverse role. I'm not sure if that's accurate because I'm not speaking from the dentist side. And I'll explain that later. It's just from a human side, I want to discuss this. But I have an event coming in October 25th and 26th. I have 5 great speakers. I call them all-stars. 4 clinical, and we throw in an Instagram marketing. Manal Sempat is going to be speaking. So if anyone wants to get a hold of me, either on Facebook or on my website, dentistryingeneral.com or digapalooza.com, and I'll have a link there for you, Gary.
Yeah, we'll put it. So if you're watching this, if you're listening on YouTube, the link will be below. If you're on any of the podcasts, just click the little more info button there and you'll get the link there. And Bob's events are great. I've heard great things about them. I haven't ever personally been to them, but I've heard that they're great and they're amazing. And Manal is awesome too when it comes to marketing. So make sure you check those events out. I know they're very, very limited seating, very small, intimate groups, which is a good thing. I love those kind of events actually personally.
It's a little bigger than that you think. We're expecting 150 people.
Yeah, my point is it's not 5,000 people. Is what I'm saying. The room's small enough. Yeah. I wasn't saying it from it's more intimate that everybody can get their questions answered. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And I have the special for your audience. I have the early bird reactivated so they can get it at a bigger discount as well.
That's awesome. Early bird. If you guys caught that, there's a double meaning there. So let's talk about this. So should businesses sign non-disparaging service agreements? So just for full disclosure. So let's first talk through and define some terms. What is a non-disparaging agreement? There's different versions of them. We're going to be specifically talking about the version that is on the B2B, business to business side. Because you can have your employees sign them. There's other ways that you can have people sign them. You can even do it in a bunch of different ways. So we'll just say that. But we're going to be specifically talking about business to business. So that would be like a dentist to a marketing company. And I own a marketing company, full disclosure. And we don't do contracts. We're not big fans of contracts. Pretty much everything's month to month. And inside of that month to month agreement, we don't tell people what they can or can't say about us, right? So that's our point of view of it. Where a non-disparaging agreement would state that if someone is working with me, and you can add on to this, Bob, or correct me where I'm wrong. A non-disparaging agreement would be, let's say Bob's a client of mine. He signs up with us. In that agreement, it would say that Bob cannot go say anything negative or anything that would cast me in a negative light that may potentially hurt my business for pretty much any reason, even if it's the truth, right? So even if he says, well, Gary, your customer service isn't the best, he's not allowed to go publicly say that or tell that to other people. So that's my understanding of a non-disparaging agreement. Do you agree with that definition of it, or do you have a pushback?
Yeah, absolutely. So far, so good.
Okay, so I'm arguing that these are this is my point of view, and then you can take and give your case for it. I'm saying This is a red flag. If a marketing company has this baked into their agreement, there's a reason they have it baked into their agreement. And it's a huge red flag on working with them because it is going to limit you on how you communicate. And it is going to put you in a position that you can't publicly talk about the company in any way that may potentially hurt their business, which is a very broad term. That it's very, very broad on what could hurt somebody's business. And so in my point of view, and I know we're not talking about dentists to their patients, it would be very similar to your patient comes in and says, hey, I want to get some dentistry done. Great, you can do that, but you can never say anything negative about me. That is very limiting, right? So it's very limiting to the consumer. So that's my point of view, is that these are huge red flags. There's a reason the companies in dental, which I know these, and we're not going to name call anybody out, there's a reason that they have them. There's a big reason that they have them. And the companies that don't have them, there's a reason that they don't have them. So that's my point of view.
So I appreciate your point of view. My purpose for having this discussion is not to agree to disagree at the end. Yeah. My purpose here is by the end of this conversation, Gary is going to agree with me, meaning that I'm going at you in a way that I'm going to prove to you that I am correct. First things first, why do we need this? Why do I have the need to go out there in public and say bad things about a company? Does that solve the problem? Does that help anybody else? Is this a revenge post? Is this a revenge action? My philosophy with my kids and everybody I talk to is that we don't give bad reviews to anyone. The way we behave is that we talk with our pocketbook. If I don't like you, I will not do business with you. Now, why is this such a triggering point for me? Is because, Gary, as you are a marketeer, I am a social media guy. I know the in and outs of social media since before Facebook was created. I'm talking about in the 80s, Usenet news groups that you probably too young to know that. Like, I know flame wars, right? People get out of control and just say things that are not objective. Everything is subjective here, right? And in a lot of these forums, you tell me what kind of a situation this so-called whatever company there are benefits. Like, even if I come and defend myself, I'm going to have mob action against me, right? So there is no free exchange of ideas, and there's one side and the other side is never represented. So when I get into a business relationship with a company, it never crosses my mind that if I'm not happy, I'm going to go badmouth them. I mean, this should not be a condition of somebody doing business with anyone. In other words, I want this to be successful. Why do I need that quote unquote the smoking gun or my gun drawn or my hands on my holster that, oh, if you don't do good, I'm going to go badmouth you. It's just a bad way of getting into a relationship. Now, if they hide it from you, absolutely. It's in the contract. The people that you and I are actually probably talking about, I don't know who you're talking about, but I know who I'm talking about, has it in a bold statement. It's obvious there. You don't like it. You don't sign and don't do business with them. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying nobody should care. I don't care. If you care, if you have a personality that you want to go take revenge on someone if something goes bad, sure, don't sign it. But what benefits does that do to you, Gary? If you don't have that, how does that benefit this person coming bad-mouthing you? What happened? What do you, I mean, you tell me, what are the positives of this? There is nothing positive that comes out of this behavior. And dentists are the worst. I'm one. I know.
I agree
when
with
I
that.
get, when I get angry, we want to, you've been subjected to it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So that's basically my point, is that it's not an important factor for me. If I like a company, whether or not they have this or not is not going to be a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Would I do it if I had a marketing company? Probably not. I'll be like you. But the world is changing, Gary. The world is changing. Social media has become very toxic, and it can destroy a family business that somebody worked hard to build without the other side. This has not happened to you. Oh, maybe it has. I don't know.
No, it has. Yeah. I've had dentists literally that I didn't even work with go out and try to crusade and destroy me. But so here's the thing, Bob, is that we're not, the debate is not, I just want to, for the audience, the debate is not, should dentists get online and trash people? And Bob's argument is, no, they shouldn't. And if that was the debate, it would be very slow. It would be very short because we would both agree, no, dentists shouldn't go online and trash people. That's not the debate. The debate is, should businesses sign non-disparaging service agreements? And so one of the things that you said, a couple of things just on your points. So you said that you vote with your pocketbook. So have you never left a bad review for like on Google or anything like that? Never? That's pretty good. So when you choose a restaurant, do you go and read the...
Hold on. I'm thinking.
Okay.
I may have given a 3-star review to a coffee shop that burnt my coffee. And I said the employees were great. The machine was bad. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So you've left bad reviews. So that's that. If they would have made you sign a non-disparaging agreement, you wouldn't have been able to leave that feedback. Now, have you ever used Google reviews or Amazon reviews to actually make a purchase decision?
Yes, I have, but we're not talking about looking at...
No. Hold on. You let me. Yeah, you went through and you said, "Hey, I vote with my pocketbook, so I'm going to operate on that. I'm going to operate that you've never left a bad review, but you operate with your pocketbook, operating with your pocketbook, your money where you buy. You go online and you go and look up of responses and reviews and what negative and positive, you read them and you go, I don't want to spend my money there, and I do want to spend my money there. So there's an economy. Our whole economy is built on the back of social media, and Google reviews is a form of social media, right? And so you go and you use that. And so I believe that dentists should have the opportunity to hear the feedback. Now, are there crazy dentists out there? Absolutely. And are there crazy people who leave reviews at coffee shops? Yes, but I wouldn't read your review at the coffee shop that you left and think, man, this guy's crazy. I would just go like, oh, it seems like a decent guy, but the coffee machine wasn't working. And I may or may not give that business another try. I believe that people are smart enough to be able to see who the crazy nut jobs are and who the normal people who are just like, hey, this wasn't a good fit for me. And that allows people to make educated buying decisions. And by removing the consumer's ability to communicate freely, you remove the ability for people to make wise decisions because everybody's being muffled. So that would be my first point on why people should have the freedom to be able to share their experience. The other thing that you talked about was you said it's all subjective. I don't believe that it is all subjective. I believe that if you use data, that you can tell a compelling story. And I'll give you one right now. I'm working with a dentist right now. We're in the middle of it. We don't do contracts, but we tell them it's going to take time to ramp up because we have to ramp up, and it takes time to build quality because that's what dentists always say. They want quality. And so it's like, okay, it takes time. I have to go sort through all the patients that you're getting and, retargeting and all those kind of things, right? Well, after 5 weeks, he's like, I don't want to work with you guys anymore. You're not sending me quality patients. And we're saying, whoa. Your conversion rate is at 50%. Your team doesn't know how to convert quality patients. You haven't got these patients in through your door yet. You haven't given it enough time. And then you haven't allowed us the time to take that data and reposition it and retarget the better quality to improve the way we talked about. Now, you're free to leave, but you haven't done what we told you up front that we want to do. So if he was to go out and say, Gary's the worst, his company's the worst, I would simply just post screenshots of all of his data and say, no, your team is not trained. You didn't follow through. And I would be able to have a conversation with them and defend myself. And that's what I believe that social media is really good at. And that would actually put me in a better position as a company, because the kind of people who would want to work with me would be data-driven people who want to know what their marketing is actually doing. And then that would attract more of the right people. And the people who are highly emotional and just going to fight and argue and those kind of things, they're not going to want to work with me because they're going to be like, dude, Gary might call me out on some things, right? And it's going to be a little bit harder to have that conversation with me than just an emotional, I hate you. So for me, I actually enjoy those conversations, and I look for them. I look for that kind of feedback.
No, I disagree with you 100% there. You gain nothing by engaging this person online. This person is an unreasonable person, right? In other words, you have told him, you have warned him that it takes more than a few weeks to get good results. Even with that, they want to quit and they're not happy. So by you going back and forth in social media, I think it would actually damage the company. That, oh my, I can't even complain about this guy. He's going to come at me. My point here is not really the fact that we are silencing people or not. I'm just saying, from the conversations I've seen online, from social media posts that I've seen online, what you're saying never happens. It's always negative towards a company that may or may not be their fault. And that's what I'm saying. And the company does not have any recourse. They don't gain anything by doing what you said. You have the personality of want to go out there and be, look at this stuff, right? We, as dentists, hate it when a patient leaves a bad review on our website and we can't answer due to HIPAA rules. Now we're saying we want to go do the same thing to many of these companies that are not even allowed to come to our groups, to our platforms. It's a one-sided thing. Somebody complained to me about a sponsor that I have, Gary. Do you know what the complaint was? It's a financial company. They didn't honor the interest rate because I went on my honeymoon, and after 40 days, they wouldn't offer the same rate as the rates are going up and down. So they are a scam artist. This is how they posted in a group that does not allow non-dentists in. You tell me, how do you go about defending?
Well, you can't defend that one if you're not in the group, right? But again, if someone posts that, I look at that and go, this guy's dumb. I'm not going to listen and make decisions. So let me flip it around on you. So bad reviews are actually...
I'm going to add this. They didn't give the details. The details came when I messaged the person and asked them, hey, what happened? Okay. The post was, do not do business with them. They're a scam artist, period. Yep. Nothing else.
Yeah, which is incomplete, right? So if I have dentists hate bad reviews, but I believe that the best reviews that dentists can get are bad reviews, and I'll explain why. So we're information overload. I agree with you. Social media is kind of rotten our brain. Google reviews, everybody has thousands of Google reviews. You go on Amazon is probably the best example. Every product has 40 billion reviews, all 5-star, right? So it's very, very confusing for the consumer to sort through that. So what has actually become very powerful is the negative review. So what I do when I go, and a lot of consumers do this, when you go onto Amazon, you actually go and look at the negative reviews first. And so let's say I want to buy a vacuum. I see a vacuum online. I say, this looks like a good vacuum. It has 5,000 reviews. They're almost all positive. But then that doesn't really help me. So then I go to the negative reviews and I start reading those. And if in all the negative reviews say, I ordered a red vacuum, but they sent me a black vacuum, and that's all of them. That's the only kind of negative review they have. I don't care about that. I don't care if the vacuum's red or black, right? I probably want a black one anyways. So it's like, whatever, I'm going to order it anyways. But if every single review says they sent the vacuum and the vacuum broke the first day, and then I tried to reach out to them and they never answered their phones, that is now going to give me pause before I buy that vacuum, even if they have all those positive reviews. Where I can argue, and I've seen this, and I've personally done this, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the best reviews are negative reviews in our current market. The reason for that is because we're allowed to have two-way conversations, and even though dentists are more restricted because of HIPAA, all you have to do when a crazy person goes on and leaves a review, dentists always want to retaliate. And I always tell them, don't retaliate. Think about the other thousands of people that are going to read this review and respond in the way that they want to hear. And it goes something like this. Hello, Mr. Patient. Thank you so much for your feedback. We really value it. I'm sorry that you didn't live up to insert core value or insert your mission. And we hope that we get a second chance. We would love to conversate with you a bit more about this because we can't do it on Google. Please reach out to us at this number. Everybody always goes, I'm not putting that they're crazy. Doesn't matter. They're not going to call you. They're crazy. They're probably never going to come back. But all the other patients read that, the new patients, the potential future patients, and they go, man, this is a great opportunity. This is like a place that I want to work with because at least they're going to work with me because most people are reasonable. This goes to my next point. What we're actually arguing here for, Bob, is that what you're arguing is that because there's 1% crazy dentists, we should take away the rights of the other 99. I don't believe in that. I just don't. I believe that people shouldn't shoot people. Shooting people is like super bad unless you're defending yourself. But I'm not going to argue to take away the Second Amendment because some people do crazy things. Right? Like I'm just not. I believe that we have in our documents, founding fathers put in Second Amendment, and that's there. And you don't strip everybody's rights because of the 1%. And I believe that people are smart enough to know who the crazies are and who they're not. If someone went into a Facebook group and said, this marketing company sucks, they're a scam, I'd be like, bro, tell me more. Like, well, you can't just say that. Like, no one reasonable would go, oh yeah, scam. Now, if hundreds of people do that, then there's something else going on there, right? Like there's something to dig deeper, but we are not giving the consumers the option to be able to have that conversation. There are marketing companies out there that are notorious for ripping people off. They're notorious for it. I get tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of calls from their clients. And guess what? No one posts about it online. And guess why? Because they have non-disparaging agreements. And guess what? People don't know that they're signing them. If they did, they wouldn't sign them. If it was clear, hey, this is what, you can't say anything bad about us ever, dentists wouldn't sign up for it. Most dentists wouldn't, I should say. So my argument is we shouldn't put, I'm going to cue it up for you. We shouldn't put restrictions on the 99%. We shouldn't make a rule for the majority because of the minority. And there is a net positive. There is a positive to both sides. Actually, after talking to my lawyer, there is zero upside for the person that signs a non-disparaging agreement. Zero. There's no argument for it's a positive for the person signing it. So if we're really talking about, benefits, the person signing the agreement has zero upside. There's no benefit for the signer. It's only for the company.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have to tell you that I agree with you with patient reviews. One more thing that I would say that you need to adjust with your advice to these dentists is that we can't even acknowledge that they're our patients. So we have to be in general terms. And I always tell dentists, and I speak on this a lot, that negative reviews for a dental office is an opportunity to improve your systems. There is a reason this negative review came. So I'm not even getting the, I'm very comfortable with how patient reviews are. This is a B2B, business to business. There is no Second Amendment. There is no right to be able to bash another business. Your right is not to sign that contract. I understand that you're saying some people are hiding it in small print. Again, that's the oldest trick in the book. If you're getting a 4-page contract from a marketing company, I'm going to copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, find bad areas of this contract to me. It's the easiest and the most economical way of identifying contracts that you don't like. Now, I just say there is no advantage for someone to have the right to bash a company. They're not doing it to help the community. They're doing it for revenge. And it's not just our industry, it's every industry, it's rampant. I just feel like, again, I think people are maybe are a little confused about this conversation. I'm not saying it's the good thing to put in. I'm just saying it's not a red flag for me. If I'm not happy with it, I will sign it. I come to you who doesn't have that. If there were the only marketing company in the world, yes, I would tell you, maybe we should discuss.
Yep.
But there's so many companies out there. Don't do it. For me, if they have it, but I know they're good, I've done my due diligence, I'm going to give them a try. If it doesn't work, hey man, it didn't work. Maybe it wasn't the right fit.
But now you're not able. But now you're not able to warn your community that it didn't work. That, hey, this didn't work for me. So you said that you argued that there's no advantage. I would argue that you disprove that yourself, because you go and shop and buy things based on reviews all the time. So if there's no advantage to
no,
you don't.
I said I look at them,
and it doesn't influence your buying decision.
No, I do not make my.
Why
because
do you
if you look at a lot of those reviews, a lot of reviews are.
So why do you look at them?
I look at them to, if it's 1,000 things, I look at it to basically filter some of them from three stars
to make a buying decision. Correct.
Again,
wait. You said there's no. I just want to. This is the core fundamental point of my argument. You're saying there's no advantage to people publicly saying negative things about businesses. I'm arguing you don't actually live that way. You make buying decisions because of negative reviews all the time, every single day. But we're arguing because 1% of dentists are crazy, or 1% of the population is crazy, we should take away the right for people to do that. But that's not how we live. We all make buying decisions based on negative reviews.
There's no advantage to the person doing the negative reviews. You see what I'm coming from? Yes, maybe somebody will benefit from this.
Yes,
but for me to go out there, I'm looking at me. I've given this contract and it has this. Am I going to sign this? If it's a good product, if it's a good service, 100% I'm signing, because I know if it goes bad, I've done my due diligence and it's my fault. That's personal responsibility and sense of accountability is what I preach in everything I do. And if it goes bad, I got no one to blame but me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go out there and say, oh, this was bad. How do we know? I don't have to tell you this. What's the number one problem people have with marketing companies? They don't spend enough money. Everybody wants to pay $500 a month and they want to get 100 patients a month.
Yeah, but that's an opportunity. So for me, why is a marketing company signing people up with not enough money and getting into those kind of agreements? To me, that's a lack of vision from the person running the company, and it creates a huge opportunity to work with the right kind of people. There is no world that we should silence the consumers. There's no world in my brain. There's no world to silence the consumers because you lack the ability to be able to articulate ROI and what people should be spending.
No, but you're confusing consumers with businesses. B2C and B2B are different rules. B2C, we have no protection as a consumer. B2B, we have attorneys at our disposal. We have other companies' competition. We don't have to sign it. I don't look at it as the same because there's just so many marketing companies out there. I don't have to do something I don't like. Now, if I signed it without reading it, there has to be some kind of a responsibility I have to take. No?
Of course. We've all signed agreements and then later said stink. So my goal here is to warn everybody, do not sign these things. This is a red flag of a bad business, a bad operated marketing company that has not your best interest in mind. You're setting off on a bad beginning. It's almost like a prenup. Like, can you use prenups? Sure. But what are you basically saying when you sign a prenup when you get married? You're saying, hey, we might split up. And that's not the purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage is to stay together forever, right? So I'm not against prenups per se, but it's not really starting off the relationship really good at the beginning, right? You're putting yourself in a really bad position. So I'll break it down this way, and I would love your thoughts on this. So I talked to my lawyer and I said, tell me why a marketing company would add these from a legal perspective. What are the main reasons? He said there's only three. It's very, very clear. There's zero upside for the signee, and there's only three ways that you would want this to use it as a strategy. Number one, you are high volume and low quality, so you have to protect yourself because you're working with so many people that you're going to have that 1% becomes very loud, right? Because you have a lot of those 1%. You are low price. So if you have a low price, then you're going to have high volume as well. So he said if you're high volume, low quality, or if you're low price, or ignorance from the consumer. They just don't know, so you get to just work it in and they don't understand it. I said, is there any other reasons you can give me that a business would add this? He was like, no, those are the reasons. Those are the business models that you... Okay, yeah, let's hear them.
I'll give you some. You've experienced it. Social media bad-mouthing is an epidemic. Everybody just wants to go out there and post whatever. I don't allow it in my group. I say objective posts are accepted. If you just want to do a hit and run post, is not allowed, right? So there is no accountability. There are family members of competitor companies bad-mouthing a company on social media that it has
That's
been
so
found.
easy to defend, though. It's like, hey, you're a family member. Here's the other way.
No.
Here, let me flip the other side. What about the bad... Okay, are there bad actors out there in the business world that do abuse their customers, that don't have their best interest in mind? Are those people out there?
So this question is a loaded question, right? This is a capitalistic country, right? If someone is a bad business, they will be out of business. If someone has had 20 years of history doing a service for a certain type of people, they've got to be doing something right, no? They have fans. I mean, this company that I'm talking about has lots and lots of fans. Some of my great friends were with them. Me, myself, I hired them for one of my businesses, right? So I look at it as this. If they're a bad company, if they're acting on bad business models, they will not last. Don't you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. There's been lots of businesses that have grown over the years that were not good for the environment, not good for the consumer, not good for a lot of things. Our whole food model is a perfect example of that. We are fed food that is not good for you, not good for the consumer, not healthy for us long term, makes us fat, gives us diseases, but it's cheap. And we get lied to and misled. And we get snookered into like, no, it's good. Hot Cheetos are great. But then later we find out the repercussions of that. So I believe that there's a whole market created around bad actors who are protected by laws and regulations and lawyers, just like the example I'm giving you right now.
Yeah, but there's a difference between these big, huge corporations and a small business, a family-run business who's trying to protect themselves from mob action. Right? again, I'm not saying I would do this. I'm just saying it's not a factor. Like, our debate here is, you're saying it's a red flag. I'm saying it's not. For me, it is not a red flag. I look at it, I don't have enough evidence. I'm not going to sign this. I'm going to go to the next marketing company.
So that would be a red flag then. It is a red flag. You just said that you're going to look at it and you don't have enough evidence, then you're going to use it as a red flag. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's reputable. So here's who do you think knows more about the dental marketing community? You or me?
You're not going to like this.
You think you?
I mean, I deal with the other side.
Can you name me how many CEOs of marketing companies have you talked to?
Probably 10.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm in that family as well. So let's say that all things are considered, right? How many customers, happy and unhappy customers, do you talk to every single week from marketing companies? So I'll give you an idea. This month, we're going to talk to about 100 new people this month. So how many do you talk to?
But no, that's not, again,
it's very relative.
We're not getting anywhere with that.
No,
because
we are.
We're in the business of selling to them. I'm in the business of listening to them and then giving them advice to hear. These are the five.
So am I. People, the marketing companies hire me as a consultant. So especially dental. Because I've been doing this a long time and we've gotten to a certain size, people want to emulate it, right? Plus, I'm friends with a lot of great companies. There are really, really good companies out there, really legit companies that I publicly say, hey, these are legit companies. There's also bad actors. And then there's some people in between that are trying. The agency business model is one of our hardest ones to scale because of the cost of labor. And then what dentists are willing to pay, to your point earlier, right? So it's a very, very tricky business to scale. Like very, very. That's why there's very few decent sized marketing companies. Most of them are smaller. Here's the point: is that I every month sit here and listen to these people that come in. Most of them do not leave bad reviews. Most of them do not trash people online because they're decent people. Most of them, 99% of them. But I hear the trends, and the trends are this. The ones that have these kind of things in their agreements are the ones that are getting the most complaints. They're the ones that are getting burnt out the most. They're the ones with the most negative things to say about those companies. And the ones without them, the least amount of people say that. And so for me, as a business owner, I look at that and I go, man, I can actually quantify that there's a correlation between the people who have these as agreements, and there's a reason that they have them. And it's not just to say, well, I just want to protect my downside. It's to keep people quiet. And that's what they're designed for. They're not in the best interest of the person. They're in the best interest of the business. With that said, I'm not saying that people should trash people online. I don't think they should. But I don't think that I don't think we should have the legal ability to tell people not to do that unless you're giving me a benefit to do that, right? Like if you're paying me not to say anything, that's a different story. You can argue that differently.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's just not important to me. In other words, I am responsible for finding a company that I want to do business with, and I do not rely, maybe 5% to 10% of my decision comes from other people. In other words, I look at reviews with a whole box of table salt. Right? I don't look at them as these are all true. I don't know the other side. And maybe that's because I deal with the public in a different way than you do. You only hear the people who have left and now they're coming to you. You're seeing the complaints. I see all the good results of these people as well. And that's where I'm coming from. That if they were all bad reviews, you don't think that they would go out of business? You're telling me they keep surviving by...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just like bad dentists survive. Are there bad dentists out there?
Absolutely.
Do some of them even thrive? Do some bad dentists clinically even thrive because of ignorance of the consumer?
It will catch up to them.
But do they thrive? Are there thriving bad dentists out there that are thriving because of the ignorance of the consumer?
Are we going to get philosophical now? Because
no, it's not philosophical. It's factual. There's bad actors out there.
About financially thriving rather than meaningful thriving in life.
Yes,
They
I
do
agree.
not
Okay,
need
financially,
equipment.
yes. Yeah.
Correct.
There are.
Financially, I can sell drugs around the corner as well, and I can financially thrive.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about a meaningful life and having the oath.
We're
to the
talking
profession.
financially. There's marketing companies that are financially thriving who are bad actors. And there's same with dentists. And one of the things that protects them are these agreements.
Again, I know the dentist, you know the marketing companies. I have not come across the marketing companies that are evil. Now, they are bad at what they do because of lack of knowledge. It's not because they're scamming people. This is the difference that I have. I define scam artists.
There are marketing companies out there that are scamming people.
Yeah,
they pop in and out of the market all the time.
Yeah, the same percentage as the dentist. You see what I'm saying? Now, you're telling me that they thrive on a yearly basis, the scam artists?
Some do, yes.
You and I need to talk off camera a little bit for me to get educated.
Yeah, and here's how you spot them. I'm going to tell everybody how to spot them without calling them out. Go look inside of Facebook groups where people say, "Hey, what do you guys think about ABC Marketing Company?" And then in the comments, everybody says this: "DM me, I'll let you know." And the reason they say "DM me, I'll let you know" is because they found out afterwards that they had a non-disparaging agreement. That's why. And they can't publicly. If it was a positive comment, they'd say they're great. And then you'll see 10 comments like that. DM me, I'll tell you. DM me, I'll tell you. DM me, I'll tell you.
Yeah, again, I don't even pay attention to those DM me, I tell you, because it's one person's opinion. Yes, if there are 200 of them, obviously I'm going to not even DM them. I'm going to move on. I don't need this,
There you go. Again, so maybe that's it. So maybe, everybody, non-disparaging are not a big deal, but when you go online and you ask and everybody says, DM me, I'll tell you, then you'll have your answer of what kind of company you're dealing with.
Yeah, I'm not, again, it's not the way I operate in life or in business. In other words, again, sense of accountability. You need to be doing your own due diligence.
I agree with that 100%.
One dentist having an experience with a marketing company somewhere else in the country is not going to be the same thing as I did. And I have plenty of those complaints that I know it's just that it's related to that market. That's what I'm trying to do. It's a weird thing that I'm defending the marketeers and you're...
No, it is, because I've seen a lot of people get hurt. And so my thing is that I'm not here to protect the marketing industry. I'm here because I want to see patients get the best care possible from the best clinicians possible. And that's what I'm here to do. Like, and I know you're in a similar mindset and you battle this on a lot bigger stages than what we're battling right now. But I know that there's bad actors out there, and I know that there's people stuck. Here's the other thing, or here's my red flags. Non-disparaging agreements, long-term contracts. Why get into a long-term contract with a marketing company? There's no reason for it. Get into a short-term, 3 months max. I do month to month with a 90-day plan, but they can leave whenever they want. And if they're a good partner, they're going to work with you. But it's a two-way street. I have to have somebody who's willing to work with me. If I work with you, Bob, and do your marketing, I need your attention and help when your team isn't answering the phone properly, and that I have to make system changes. I have to say, hey, this is a system change and only you, Dr. Bob, can authorize it. I need your participation in this process. That it's a two-way street. I totally agree with you on that. I agree with you that there's crazy people out there. There's crazy dentists. They say crazy things. But I also don't believe in shooting down people's ability to have conversations, especially when people are asking questions. I'll give you an example. In Glenn Vo's group, someone posted, hey, Energize, direct competitor to me, Bob, direct. Like, they do very similar work, different stipulations, but very similar work. Are they a good company? And several people in there are like, yeah, we use them. They're good. There was some people in there that said, hey, it didn't work for me, but da-da-da. And I posted in there, hey, I know the owner. He'll talk to you. If the owner is willing to talk to you and publicly have conversations with you, means they're a good company. That's a sign of a really good marketing company, because it means they're going to actually put some thought and effort into it. But my point is this: non-disparaging agreements stop all of that. It stops the marketing company from having to compete on a public stage, which is bad for the industry overall. And it also stops these kinds of conversations from happening. And I think they're good for the industry. And I think it does motivate the business owner to get better. It motivates me. I have to show up in Dental Nachos and Nifty Thrifty and all these groups. Like, man, I can go through and look at the members in there that we're working with. It motivates me that I'm going to want to keep showing up there and want to keep doing a good job.
Yeah, for sure. But what I want to ask you is, do you believe that social media gives the platform for people to take revenge on a not as objective manner?
Absolutely. So do dental events, so do Google reviews, so do every other cell phones do as well. Text messaging, group messaging, every platform has a downside. The Signal CEO was just recently put in jail because he wasn't willing to, he doesn't have the ability to release the bad actors. And he's just like, the way I created it, you can't even get that information out of the app. Does that mean that we should throw him in jail and stop having these kind of apps? No, it doesn't. Just because there's 1% terrorist and those kind of things, we shouldn't take away free speech. We should get more of it. And I don't think the government has the right to come in and spy on me just because there's some bad actors out there.
But free speech is not prevented here. The free speech is your right to not do business with them. That's not
speech, though. That's not speech. That's a legal binding contract.
Yeah, but speech to me is also has to be included in action. If I can't talk about you, first of all, why do I want to talk about you? Right? Do I want to help the community or do I want to take revenge? That's the other question.
So let's flip this around. So if someone goes into a Facebook group and says, "Hey, what do you guys think about ABC Company?" Should dentists be allowed to comment on their experience?
Objectively.
Yeah, objectively. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these agreements, non-disparaging agreements, do not allow that.
Yeah, but yes, I mean, I guess I do agree with that. But the point is the other company is not allowed to respond. They're not there. They're two sides to a story,
which is fine. But so is the answer to that to stifle it 100%, or is it to say, hey, allow these people to defend themselves, right? Like that would be my answer. I had a dentist; he didn't even work with me, so a non-disparaging agreement wouldn't even have fixed anything. He went out and just trashed me. You know who it is? He's crazy. He's literally crazy. He's a crazy person, and he's a dentist, and he trashed me, and I got so much blowback for that. And I said, hey, why don't you let me in the group and let's have a conversation? Because I knew I could prove him as crazy. He said, absolutely not. I said, why don't we do a podcast together, just like you and I are doing? And let's just talk about it. Because I knew he would look crazy and I would look reasonable. And it would actually put me in a positive light and him in a negative light. Absolutely not. Guess what? It all blew over. Was it scary for a little bit when he was like literally calling my employees and trying to find my clients and calling them? Yeah, it was stressful. But non-disparaging wouldn't have stopped that. If there's crazy people out there, they're crazy. What I'm saying is if someone goes into a Facebook group and says, what do you guys think about ABC Company? I believe that everybody has the right to be able to talk about that. And if they don't, it's just not fair. And it's not objective. It's now you've flipped the market and now you're only going to hear the positive things from the paid actors who are sponsors, who have a financial advantage to talking about it, and you hear none of the negative. And I don't think that's a good thing.
But again, remember, the question here is it a red flag? And my response to that is not, I'm not defending that. I'm just saying it's not a red flag. If you are happy with your decision to go with a company, not being able to tell others about it is not a deterrent for me.
I'm not a deterrent, but it is a red flag. It is. If it doesn't raise an alarm in your head and ask why do they put that in there? Why do they have to put that in there? Would be my question.
If that comes to your head, guess what? Move on.
Yes, bingo. Thank you. So
and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't for me. It doesn't for me. So I will do based on my own research on my friends. Hey, give me 2 or 3 of your clients. Let me talk to them. That's how I look at things. But again, I guess we have to agree to disagree. I thought you were going to agree with me.
This is awesome. I really enjoyed this. You did make me think about several different things. I hope I did the same for you and made you see it in a slightly different light. I do want to protect people, small businesses like I do. I'm in that family. I know you are too. All of our listeners are. We want to protect that. We're both pro that. The bottom line is if everybody operated like Bob and myself, then the business world would be a better place to operate. And they don't. Some of the consumers are not good people, and we know that. So be a good person. And some of the businesses are not good people. They're out there. Don't work with those people. Do your due diligence. Get as much information as you can, and watch for some of these things. And this is not to say, I want to say this. I don't know all the companies that have these. Maybe some of them aren't red flags, but the ones I do know that have them, it is a red flag because I know them. We'll talk about that off air, Bob. Bob, last time, give your information. If someone wants to reach out to you, get a hold of you, how can they get in touch with you?
Dentistryingeneral.com is my website, and Dentistry in General Facebook group. If you're a dentist or a dental student, please join us. I'm also a big advocate of joining the American Dental Association. I'm also a very big critic of the American Dental Association. Join us to influence the profession for the better.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being balanced on that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.